This is Linux In-Laws, a podcast on free Libre open source software, broadcasting from the United Kingdom and Germany.
Welcome to Linux In-Laws, Season 2, Episode 45. Martin, what's the state of the union over there at the moment?
I don't know, to be honest. I haven't been there.
You're not part of the union anymore, okay?
Well, it depends what you call part
So Western England just defected without me noticing it. Okay, fair enough.
Yeah. Actually, Germany is a union, isn't it, as well?
Well, it's a federal state.
Union of federal states.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah.
In contrast to Holland, which is a collection of provinces, no?
It is, correct.
Excellent. And what about the United Kingdom? I reckon that was
No. Holland is also a kingdom. We have a king in Holland. Yes, we do.
Okay, but you're not united.
I guess the provinces are united. Yeah.
Fair enough. I'm just wondering, Martin, where does the term United Kingdom come from? And because, I mean, if you take a close look, there's Wales, there's Northern Ireland, there's Scotland, and there's England. Never mind Cornwall and some other splinter states.
Yeah. It's similar to your United States of America. They have states.
So. But thankful enough, basically, you don't have to cope with some of the challenges as the United States of America do.
Well, I mean, the whole world has to cope with it.
That's very true, Martin. That's very true.
Anyway.
But this is not about...
Probably not the right topic.
This is not a show about American politics, but rather about open source software and some other topics. And with that, we should probably actually explain what tonight's topic is all about.
We should indeed.
Because, this is one of the off-topic shows.
Well, you call it off-topic. I mean, it's we've had similar... guests before that run a very successful podcast on very interesting topics, right? So.
Very true. I mean, the Grumpies come to mind, no?
Grumpies, there was the Israeli guy.
Ren Levy, of course, yes.
Him, yes.
So our guest for tonight is in good company. But, so a word of advice, people, if you're listening. This is not the last off-topic show. We are currently thinking about a couple of knowledge... What's the word I'm looking for? Knowledge transfer doesn't capture it, but rather shows about a specific topic where we kind of spill the beans. For example, how to put a puppeteer government into place. And how to fail miserably at that because we failed for the first and second term. So maybe chances are that coming Mr. Trump's third term, we may succeed.
Probably something to do with the amount of sponsorship that we don't have. But anyway,
but this
is
just a blatant teaser. On with the real subject, and with that we would like to introduce Jack. But Jack, before we probably get it even more wrong, why don't you introduce yourself?
Hi, I'm Jack Resider. I make the show Darknet Diaries. And before that, I was a network security engineer, configuring firewalls and troubleshooting threats that were hitting the network and that sort of thing.
That explains it pretty much all. People, thank you very much for listening, and see you next time around. No, jokes aside. Jack, that was a kind of very short introduction. It's probably fair to say that, I mean, full disclosure, I came across Darknet Diaries in 2017 when it was just surfacing. Jack, correct me if I'm wrong. And
2017.
I've been avid listener ever since, but of course, we had Ren Levy on the show. As a malicious live also, so this is one of the ventures into cybersecurity not just from a FLOSS perspective. But Jack, why don't you give us a little bit of a rundown about the history of the podcast and how it all came about?
Yeah, I really was love podcasts at the time, like 2016, 2017. This is where Serial was out. But my favorite shows were like Radiolab and This American Life and 99% Invisible. And I was like, those are great shows because they hook you on a subject that you don't even care anything about. They're just, the storytelling is so good. It could be talking about a lost suitcase and you have to wait to hear how the suitcase finds its owner at the very end. And I couldn't understand how it just gripped me so well on a subject I really don't care about. And so as I was listening to that, and I was in cybersecurity myself, I was thinking, well, where's this podcasts that are actually gripping for things I care about, which is cybersecurity? And I couldn't find it at the time, and decided, oh man, do I have to make this myself? And thought about it for like 9 months before finally jumping in and trying to make a podcast myself. And yeah, so it was just an itch I wanted to scratch myself.
Very interesting. Can you shed more light on your cybersecurity background? And I mean, we're going to discuss the podcast in detail in a minute, but needless to say, there are 1,000, and that's just a wild estimate, as cybersecurity podcasts out there. But you managed to rise to fame very quickly, as in with the last 7 years or 8 years. So you must be doing something right. Maybe you could, and if I take a look at memory lane, as in going down memory lane, the podcast has changed a little bit over the years. I mean, you started out a little bit different than you do today, because today is more like just crime with a slight, and I may be wrong because I didn't listen to two of the kind of recent episodes, so things may have changed a little bit. But over the years, you ventured from the cybersecurity field into more general crime, and also the format has changed a little bit with regards to these days. It's more like storytelling. Maybe some thoughts on this?
Interesting. So it's you say I must have been doing something right. I sometimes think maybe I was just doing something different. And so a lot of the cybersecurity podcasts that are out there are typically interviewing experts in the field or are covering the news. And I feel like what I do is more slow news. I don't want to cover this week's news or this month's news. I want to cover news from 6 years ago, because to me, those are when stories are ready to be told. They're now, so like I'll have a Google alert that's set up, which tells me, show me any articles that say hacker sentenced. Because if a hacker is sentenced, now I have the whole story. Now I know a hacker was found guilty, and if they're found guilty, that means they was arrested. And if he was arrested, that means he did a crime. And we could just keep going backwards down the line to write that whole story. But you know, when there's news in cybersecurity, all we know is like, oh, something got hacked. We don't know the extent of the damage or who did it or what was taken or any of that. We just know hacked. So that to me is not enough information. You just have more questions than answers. And so that's why I like to wait until 5, 6, 7 years for a story to be told, because then we have all the answers. And to me, that's the proper way to tell a cybersecurity story, is when you can answer all the questions. So that's the way I like to format my show. And you mentioned Ron Levy. He's another one that makes a show like that. Well, unfortunately, that show has stopped being created, but he was making one very similar, and we started around the same time. So I think we purposely kept looking away from each other just so that we didn't feel like we were copying each other, but we did have a very similar show.
So are you implying that Ron doesn't create a show anymore?
That's right.
Okay.
Wow. It was the show was canceled like 2 months ago.
Wow, we didn't know this. Okay.
Yeah, it's sad. I think the parent company stopped producing it, and so he just didn't have a way to do it himself.
Yeah, if I understand, there's a lot of in both yours and Ran's podcast. There's a lot of research involved, right? And that takes a lot of time. And then I'm assuming you're writing the whole story out beforehand as well. Is that the case?
Yeah, that is the case. So I'll typically interview somebody who's had firsthand experience with some sort of cybercrime. So either they were hacked themselves, or they were investigator into a hack, or they were the hacker. And so if that's the case, I want to read as much as I can, such as police reports or news stories or people who were also aware of that situation. And then when I get in the interview, I have a very strong understanding of where we're going. And then we can walk through exactly all the things that I find interesting. And then, once that's over as well, I'll probably have a lot more questions that I'll want to research or ask or learn about or something to add color into the story as well, because there's a lot of narration that I put over the interview. and add some music as well to make it more dramatic. And yeah, that's the way the show is structured.
Yeah, no, it makes it all more let's say, gripping and interesting to listen to, isn't it? But if you take, for example, the Spain Portugal power outage, that won't be something that you will cover until all the truth has come out, right, over time.
Yes. So when something like that happens, I'll get a bunch of DMs saying, "Oh, you got to cover this story. You got to cover this story," and it's like in the middle of the outage, and I'm like, it could have been just that somebody cut the wire at the, like a lawnmower just ran over a box or something and cut the wire. Like it's not, we don't know what happened yet. And then,
something slightly
they're like, no. Yeah. And then the next day they're like, no, new news has come out. We now know. And I'm like, okay, see, this is going to take a while before we know everything. And so, yeah, I get aware of these things, but then I just put it in my drawer of stories to be like, oh, look at this again in 3 years and see where it's at.
Yeah, full disclosure, we are recording this in December of 2025. Portugal and Spain have been hit with power outages for the last half year, and the last one basically shut the two countries down. I'm joking, but that was a big one, right? As in kind of the one that just happened in late April of 2025, because it shut down the country for a couple of days. Do you think, is there any malicious intent behind this? I mean,
I hope there isn't, and so I don't know enough about this story. It sounds like there might be, because this one does seem a little bit strange. But I've worked in cybersecurity before, as in a network operations center, and we'd see outages go down all the time. And my favorites are the ones where it was exactly the landscaper, the maintenance man, just took his lawnmower and hit the power box and shut down power to the whole building. And so I'm always just thinking stuff like that, which is, don't assume it's malicious, because it could just be a very simple thing. There's another story I've heard where a butterfly flew into an electrical panel and shorted the fuse box in an electrical panel. And so a butterfly took down the network, right? So
serious?
Yes,
wow.
That's it. And
it was
so
a big butterfly.
Indeed.
Yeah. And so I never want to jump to conclusions and say, oh, this is very malicious and stuff. I always want to find a very simple or just an innocent way of why this went wrong.
Okay. I hope we're not talking about the butterflies in Singapore, because as we all know, they're in charge of creating the weather, or making the weather actually, in Central Europe. In the bigger scheme of things. Changing tack just a little bit. When I recall the early episodes, that was much about social engineering. I'm just wondering why you ventured into crime, as in kind of from a broad perspective, and why the change of this format with regards to stretching out into the broader field of, I'm going to say, not just kind of internet crime or cybercrime, but rather general crime. Because if I take a look at the backlog of the last year, that pretty much, I wouldn't say covers anything, but you certainly don't confine yourself to social engineering / cybercrime anymore.
Yeah, I probably have a very nuanced opinion of this, but since it's my show, it's just the way it goes.
Go ahead.
The social engineering story is our crowd favorite. This is where somebody pays a hacker to break into a building to see if your building is secure. You want to make sure, like a bank, right? Say, hey, can you try to rob us? Like, let's pay you, see if you can do it without us even knowing, right? And so they'll wiggle all the handles on the outside of the building in the middle of the night, see if any are open, find a window to crawl through, disable the alarms, find a way into the vault, and actually like take money out of the bank. Like there's stories of this, right? And so that's what social engineering is. And people love this. This is like really a lot of my listeners' favorites. But I'm always thinking to myself, this is like hacking with monopoly money. This is not real crime. This is just a what if scenario. What if someone got in? And it's neat to hear kind of the tradecraft of what they did to bypass these things. But to me, I like the real stories of when someone did actually go into a bank and rob the place and how they actually did it, because that to me is high stakes. That's rubber meets the road, and that's the exciting thing to me. So I I don't ever have episodes that are just proof of concept. Like, ooh, I found this way to hack this thing. Let me show you. No, I'm not interested. I always want to hear stories of when people actually did things to rob a place or steal or whatever. And so that's one aspect of it. And so that's why I like to bring in CIA agents who were actually, trying to do social engineering to gain state secrets from another country, right? Like that to me is way more exciting than a social engineer who has a card in their back pocket that says, if I get caught, here's the phone number to the CEO of the company who hired me. Please call them instead of the police or something, right? So I think that's more exciting when it's real crime happening as opposed to, playtime. But people love it. And I do find social engineering fascinating, but I gravitate a little bit towards the higher stakes stuff. So that's one aspect of it. And the other thing is I have the other nuanced take is I think that like electronic crime, internet crime should be lumped into cybercrime, but it isn't always the case, right? So if you have like kids who play Roblox, they want Robux. Their parents aren't giving them Robux to play in the game. So they search online, hey, where do I get free Robux? And then you get put into this world of like scams and hackers trying to steal kids' Robux. And is that cybercrime, or is that just like scamming kids online in this way, or getting kids to do work for like looking at ads in order to earn their Robux and then stealing their Robux once they earn their ads? So like I'm currently in San Francisco right now, and I'm at the RSA convention, and at this convention there are like 10,000 booths of like every security solution you can think of, but none of them are solving the problem of swatting. Right? There's not a single person that's there trying to help you not get groomed by an online pedophile in a chat room. This is a totally different world of cybersecurity that the professionals are trying to solve. But to me, I'm like, well, there's a gap in the actual reality of what crimes are being done online, and isn't that considered cybercrime? And that's my nuanced take. Is I think online crime is cybercrime. And I don't think the rest of my community really agrees with me there, and they think that that's someone else's problem.
No, that's clearly there is crime everywhere, including online. And it doesn't, as you say, limit itself to certain age groups or not. It's and it can take but then if you are discussing taking money from kids, you could also discuss the game companies who encourage that kind of behavior, right, as well. But changing a slightly different topic. I mean, you've done this for 7 years, and you've had a number of awards, right? And for the success of your podcast, is there something that you can point to that was like a breakthrough, or how did it grow to such a magnitude, I guess is the main question.
Yeah, I think for a lot of people who create anything, whether it's starting a business or a podcast or a YouTube channel or whatever, they think the act of creating the thing is the hard part, or it probably is the hard part, where it's like going from 0 to 1 on making something is really hard. But you really have to have two things that you're good at. And number one is creating it. Number two is marketing. Yeah.
I hope you will, Martin.
Carry on. Yeah, sorry.
Before making the podcast, I had been trying to become something online. I don't care what. I was making websites and phone apps and everything that you can think of. And it was always the devil's in the details. You get to the 95% completion and you're like, oh man, this last 5% to get over the line of hooking it up to an actual usable way of people using it is really hard. And then when you finish it, it's not the vision you had and all these things. So there was just a lot of projects that went abandoned for me. But in that time, I had practiced, or I had learned, okay, well, once it's done, what do I do as the next step? So I read a lot of marketing books and listened to a lot of marketing podcasts. So when I finally made a podcast myself, I was like, well, I have all these marketing skills that I can, or, ideas that I can do. Let me get going on them. And so, like when I launched the podcast, I went to a conference to give a talk and told a room full of 100 people, like, hey, I just have this podcast. And, I made sure it's like in the slides and all this and handing out stickers to everyone who came and just trying my best to get the word out and spending tons of time on social media, trying to be as, visible as possible. But I think one of the biggest things was being part of the community, going to the hacker conferences, being in the social circles online where the hackers are and where the people, my core audience is, was really helpful to be like, well, he's one of us. Let's promote him because he's one of us. And I wasn't just some outsider that was trying to reach a crowd that I wasn't even part of. It was really nice to be part of it. So yeah, I think marketing played a huge role in how I grew.
Very interesting subject. I'm going to go into the details in a minute, but if I take a look at your website, apparently you have a whole team working for you, and that came into existence about 2 or 3 years after you launched the podcast.
That's right. Yeah, the first 40 episodes at least I had done just completely on my own, which, yeah, like I said, is a lot of work. There's a lot of research. There's a lot of sound design and editing and story planning and all this sort of thing. And when I'm planning the stories, there's quite a lot of planning that goes into the story element arc of it, right? So you work with open source software. My operating system is wetware, and wetware is our brain and all the chemicals that are going on in there. And I'm trying to reverse engineer this operating system to be, well, what are the chemicals that you like the most, and how do I get them to trigger in your brain the most when you're listening to my show? So some great chemicals are dopamine and serotonin and oxytocin that can be created in your own brain through storytelling and listening to something good. So like dopamine is created when there's a suspenseful part or when you're on the edge of your seat and you can't wait to hear what's next. There's dopamine triggering in your brain, and that gives you a heightened sense of awareness and a better sense of just happiness and this kind of thing. So it's a really great chemical to give you through the show. And so that's the place I'm like focused on. And so there's just a lot of story structure there to how do I create the story in a way that delivers the most amount of dopamine. Like that's how I'm thinking when I'm creating these things. And that's not easy. That takes a lot of I would say artistic ability. It's really hard to teach that sort of thing. But yeah, so that's still something I do pretty much only is the story creation aspect of it is still me, because I have a tough time finding somebody who thinks the way I do on those elements. But I do have, now that it's grown to the point that I can afford it, I have a couple other people that help me. So like as I narrate, I will flub it and have to redo it again and again, and I'll have someone cut out my redos, and then I have someone to do the equalization and the tuning of the audio, and then somebody to help me create the artwork, and some other just it's kind of a hub and spoke team where I'm still the hub of it, and I might hand something to someone and then they finished it and hand it back to me, and I'm still driving it all the way.
I mean, according to your website, your team clocks in at 8 people. Plus you 9. That's a lot.
Yeah, but I mean, they're only working like 2 hours a month. So it's not like it's a full-time team.
Almost like Martin and myself, okay?
A bit more than that. No, on that subject, I mean, you've got the research part, you've got the doing the story outline and all that kind of thing. I mean, for a typical episode, how much time would you say that all takes to put together? Just the preparation part, and then you've got a bit of obviously the editing afterwards as well, but.
So I used to do it every 2 weeks. Now it's once a month. And when it was every 2 weeks, I would barely make it to the line every time. So that's like 2 solid weeks of working on an episode. So what is that? 80 hours, 60 hours to do an episode?
Okay. Yeah, not surprising. That's, and how do you come about? I mean, you mentioned one thing that you mentioned was the alerts on the actual convictions of hackers and things like that. Are there any other sources of your where your topics normally come from?
Yeah, it's I go to a lot of the conventions and I'll watch a lot of talks and I'll tap a lot of shoulders when I hear a good talk. So like, hey, you've already given that talk. I would love to hear it again on my show. And so just combing through all the great talks that are out there. And then now I've got to the point that a lot of people are coming to me. And it's hilarious because, someone will message me and say, I don't know who you are, but I've been told to bring you my story. I'm like, okay. And I don't know who you are, but I'd love to see your police report. And then surprisingly enough, that seems to always work. Where they send me, I don't know, I guess you were arrested and stuff.
You're serious?
But, wow. Yeah. So a lot of stories come to me. I'm really honored to feel like the trusted person to bring a story to these days. And I do get a lot of, spam story requests or pitches where it's like, I'm the CEO of this ransomware organization or this anti-ransomware company, and I'd love to tell you about the latest trends in ransomware. I don't want to know about the latest trends. I want to know about the worst day of your life. Tell me the day that your company got breached, or you had to fire your whole team, or you got fired, or everything, your company went bankrupt. Like that's the stuff that makes good audio.
Yeah. Such good news is bad news, right? No, it makes a better story for sure. Yeah.
And of course, they don't want to tell that. They just want to tell me about how great their company is.
How great the company is. Yeah. Well, I'm glad to say that we've managed not to get any sponsors in our podcast.
Not yet, Martin. No, but apparently some parts of the empire is working on this. Anyway, going back to the whole marketing thing, I'm just the reason why I'm mentioning this because Martin and myself started this podcast about 5.5 years ago, and I had this great idea of bringing in marketing about half a year after we started the podcast. We are now into our 7th marketing department because Martin keeps firing them.
Wait, no, this is where you should have paid attention because Jeff did all the marketing himself at the beginning.
Yeah, but at some stage, basically, he was able, Martin, I know, please do pay attention, he was actually able to hire a team. So given the amount of venture capital that we've burned so far, never mind. Never mind the numerous marketing departments that had to bite the dust or the bullet or whatever. I'm pretty impressed because if I take a look at the stats, you're clocking in at now, and correct me if I'm wrong, at 1 million downloads per episode. This is Martin's wet dream. I'm happy if 2 people download us. Martin thinks more like 12 to 15K. But I reckon the truth is somewhere in between. But then, as I said, marketing apparently does make a difference because we don't have any marketing and you have 8 people on the team.
Yeah, none of my 8 people are marketers. It's only me.
Thank you. Oh, this is exactly the answer that I didn't want to hear.
Yeah, it's really hard. So I think marketing starts with a good product. You don't want to spend all this extra energy or money to get someone to come enjoy your thing, and then they hate it and they turn it off and they never come back, right? So you want to start with something that's just really gripping and good. And I think that's what a lot of marketing departments miss. They just think that they can put lipstick on a pig or whatever and go for it. But I think that's where it starts. And then from there, you just build quality and just get better and better. So I think there's 2 trains of thought. So you can or schools to market, and not even marketing, but just for podcasting, is there's number 1, which is podcast more. Like if you're podcasting once a week, do it twice a week. If you're doing it twice a week, do it every day. If you're doing it every day, do it twice a day. And so there you have shows like the Pat McAfee show is on 4 hours every day. And I can't imagine how he does that, but he does that. And so some shows are just like crazy how much content they put out. And because of that, there's just so much stuff that's out there that it hits people's feet again and again and again. They see it again and again in their social timeline or whatever. And that's just one way to just grow, is to just throw a bunch of stuff out. I think my school of thought is don't like once a month is what I'm publishing now, but I want that to be high quality. And my goal for when somebody finds my show is to consume every single episode. I want to hook them so hard that they're like, this is my new favorite show. And then every single episode just gets better and better and better in their head. And then they just listen to it all and they can't wait for the next episode. I want my show to be one that they're not behind on and they're fully caught up on. 1 or 2 is not a big deal, but you know what I mean? Like I want you to fully enjoy this. And so that's very different than somebody who's doing it every day. Like, yeah, you could skip a week and you didn't miss anything. It's fine. Come back when you're ready. And so that you kind of have to think about what the goal is of how much do you want your audience to listen to, what value you're bringing to them. Are you teaching them something new? Are you entertaining them and just giving them a laugh? Like there's a lot of different ways to think of what it is that they're going to get out of the show. I told you I want to give you more dopamine and oxytocin and serotonin and this sort of thing. And so that's kind of the value I'm looking to give. But at the same time, I also like teaching. I like showing you this world of technology that you might not be familiar with and kind of open this door and see this view of this world that is something that you haven't quite seen before. And I love that. I love this exposure to something that you just don't know. And so there's a teaching element that I really get a lot of enjoyment out of. Yeah, so I think these are just kind of ground level things. But then marketing really is, to me, what it is, it's finding a person who would really love your show and then saying, hey, this is going to be your new favorite show, right? So it's not this like sleazy thing of like ads in your face that you hate and you just don't ever want to see this ad again. But it's really reaching the person who would love this product or this show and giving it to them and them appreciating it. So that to me doesn't make it as a dirty element. That's like, ooh, I'm on the hunt for finding somebody who will absolutely love this. And that's kind of fun. So to me that honestly, social media is still king for this. And if we look at a sports podcaster, any popular sports podcaster has over 100,000 tweets, all of them. And the reason for this is because when they're watching a game, they're tweeting what they're seeing and they're live talking about like, oh, did you see that play? I can't believe the referee said that, did that. Oh, look at the coach. He's really mad. Like, and they cannot stop talking about the thing that they're most passionate about, which is sports. And so I think that would just be an easy win for any podcaster to be like, hey, you're really passionate about this subject, so passionate that you're going to talk for 4 hours on it on your show. Take that over to Twitter and just keep talking all day, every day. And you'll see that you'll drum up all kinds of conversations and get involved with other people's conversations. And people will start following you. And when they follow you, they want to hear more. And when they want to hear more, they're going to discover that you have this podcast that they can enjoy. So to me, social media is king when it comes to marketing.
Interesting perspective, because we discussed the angle of social media a while ago. And I have the impression, and Martin may have a different opinion on this one, that people are becoming more and more fatigued about social media because not just after the election where social media played a certain part, and if I'm following the news, and I'm just not talking about the commies, as in the communist media in the US, like NPR or MSNBC or something like that, I have the impression that the more people listen to coverage, the more they actually discover that probably, and the last election is probably the best example to go by, that social media can be misleading, for want of a better term. And that's, if I take a look at the numbers of the last 2 months, 3 months, as in people leaving the likes of Accents and all the rest of it, I think that vector is going down by the minute. Any thoughts on this in the light of that? You think social media is still the way to go?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think so. Unfortunately, well, I don't know if it's better or for worse, but it's become fractured, right? So with Musk taking over Twitter, a ton of people left Twitter and they've moved over to other platforms. And so that's starting to make it so that there are different platforms for different ideologies or different social camps or political views. And that makes it difficult for creators to reach all the people because now we got to be on more platforms to meet them. But I want you to do sort of a thought experiment and just recognize where you spend your idle time. If you're like, okay, I just got done with that project, I'm going to spend like 5 minutes just screwing around on my phone. What is it? Is it Are you scrolling social media somewhere? I mean, you may knock it, but then you might secretly be like still on there, seeing what all the updates are or reading something. And if that's the case, then it's still very active because you're the one who's on there, right? But in my case, I really don't like social media. I'm probably there just to find sources or to get in with the crowd, like I said, the community, and to promote my show, to do the marketing. But where I look at it is I want to know where my audience goes online and just go there where they are. And so if that is Discord, I'll go to Discord. If that's Reddit, I'll go to Reddit. If that's TikTok, I'll go to TikTok, right? So I want to just go as close as I can to them to make it easy for them to notice me or to see me and to be part of their world, because I think if I am part of that community, that helps a lot. So that's how I see it, and that makes it hard because I've got 15 different social media accounts that I'm always putting content out on. And that's that's a full-time job on itself. So it is better just to pick one and nail that and get that. So I think a good first metric to hit is just to focus on one, maybe your favorite one or the one you think your community is the most involved in, and then get like 10,000 followers there. And that's a nice, strong place to start. And then once you get to like 10,000 followers, then you'll have an understanding of how to grow your social media and how all this works and what's successful and what isn't. And when you have that better understanding, now you can do that again on another platform. Maybe Facebook is your second option or something. And so you start growing there. And as you get better at growing in each of these platforms, then you can seed each other back and forth. Be like, all right, well, now I started a Instagram account, so please follow me over there or whatever. And so you can seed it and grow it. I'm a big fan of growing multiple audiences at once, and not just the podcast audience and only that, but being in other places, because if one thing disappears, I don't want to instantly become irrelevant. I want to still have a relationship to a lot of my listeners or followers or whatever.
So this is your path to world domination by mass proliferation? Interesting.
Yes.
Well, I was going to ask a related question. How much has your audience transcended the cybersecurity world? Right? Have you got a good view of that? How many people have come in from different, let's say, communities, groups?
Well, that wasn't in cybersecurity, but then joined because of me. Yeah, I get this talk. I get told this all the time, especially at the conferences where I meet people face to face, where they'll say, "I was a painter or a mechanic, and I thought I like computers, but I didn't know there was good money in it or a job that I could do where I could hack things and stuff. And so I listened to your show, and now I've got my degree, and I just got my first job in a network operations center or something, and I love that. It's so cool to hear people get inspired by the stories that I share with them and this sort of thing. So yeah, I think there's quite a few of people were outside the community and listened to it and then joined the community. It's great.
Coming back to the world domination plan, apart from mass proliferation and beyond download stats, can you spill the beans with regards what's going to be next and how you're going to get there, and what steps to avoid if you want to achieve world domination through podcasting? Because now actually Martin and myself are taking notes.
Yeah, the world domination, that's an interesting goal. So I think there has to be maybe two things to help you with that goal, which is influence and money. And so the influence would be, having a bigger.
Unfortunately, we have neither.
Yeah. So let's talk about growing it, right? So the influence could be to grow your voice to be a more, louder voice in the world. So that's having a bigger audience, that's having more followers, that sort of thing. And it's really what I've noticed, and as a podcaster, just watching the charts and this sort of thing, it almost seems like the more outrageous you are, the faster you'll grow, the bigger your voice will get. And so if you can I don't know, release a sex tape or something like that where
We tried this. We failed.
Chris has got plenty of those on the channel.
No, we tried every trick in the book, Martin, but we failed.
You didn't tell me you released
Have
a
you
sex
tried?
tape.
Have you tried doing a diss track with other podcasters where you just totally talk about how terrible they are, and then they get on their show and talk about how terrible you are?
No, we haven't done this yet, Martin, because we're
I'm
live.
sure the Grumpies would be game.
David Thomas, if you're listening, that was a joke. We won't do this.
So these are things that I've seen, right? I've seen this outrage, this
Like
scandals,
Rob Stern,
this
that
sort of thing.
Okay.
Yeah,
You
the
remember
outrage
Rob Stern,
and
right? Exactly.
Howard Stern.
Sorry, Howard Stern. I always confuse him. Yes.
Yeah. Howard Stern was absolutely outrageous, and this is one reason why everyone just wanted to hear what was next, what was going to come out of his mouth next. And the more controversial you are, the higher the more influence you become as well. So these are tricks to get there. But I've tried not to do any of these tricks, right? The diss track is a big thing. The diss track is a big thing on YouTube, where a lot of people are just spending hours talking about how terrible another YouTuber is, and that is actually, in a lot of cases, those are agreements between those two YouTubers to build up each other's audiences, because YouTube loves this drama, and so this is just dumb ways to build your influence. But hey, if that's what you want to do is world dominance, and these are the ways you can get there.
You don't want to rule the world, no? Okay.
No, you just want
asking. Sorry.
Yeah.
Intentions are different. So
in today's world, I think it would be absolutely mind infuriating to be in a position of power, because everyone would just hate you and throw so much crap at you, and you'd be like, "Well, that wasn't even me. I wasn't even around then. You're blaming me for something that wasn't even me."
That sounds very much like a real estate developer from New York, Martin, if you ask me. And he's fading too, apparently, but going if numbers are anything to go by. But this is, of course, my opinion.
So what I want to do is I like to think about my legacy. I don't want to do things that are, hot for the moment or just scandalous. I want to do things that are going to last for decades, to be like, that was a really good take that he had. I wish I had more of that today.
Okay, full disclosure, Martin and myself are not dead yet. We're working on it.
Yeah.
But, no, jokes aside, please do explain.
Yeah, it's just... if you go through this scandalous route and stuff, then everyone's going to see that you were a flash in the pan. You slept your way to the top, whatever the case is. It's not a lasting thing, and over time, it's going to be looked at like, oh yeah, he was just manipulating our minds, or just doing goofy things to rise to the top. But it didn't really add to the value of the world over time. So I'm trying to think, how can my value to the world stand the test of time for decades after I stop doing it? And that's more of my alignment of, instead of world domination, just have a legacy that tastes good for a long time to come.
I'm just wondering, is there an end of life already penciled in for Darknet REs?
No, there's not an end of life. It's just how, as I'm creating. So, like, if I have a video that I post.
Yeah.
I'm just asking, Martin. Sorry.
Sorry, carry on, Jack.
Like, just the simplest idea here is like thumbnails in YouTube, right? So I might as well post my podcast to YouTube, and so you see all the thumbnails, which is like shocking face video. Or a shocking face of like, oh my God, you'll never believe what's in this episode. And I don't like that kind of thing. I like just, if you notice, most of my episodes are like a single word, which is just like somebody's name, their first name. I don't even put their last name in the show. I just put their first name, Joe. This is Joe's episode.
Well, it does work.
And that's it. Well, it's definitely not clickbait, and it's not like trying to, convince the algorithm or any of this thing. It's really just like, trust me, this is going to be a good show about Joe. And my listeners do trust me, and they have a great time listening to Joe.
Interesting perspective, Martin.
There's
of leaves from that book.
Some food for thought there.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Food for thought, indeed. Very much so, yes. Are there any final thoughts, remarks, questions we should ask while we have
I wanted to ask
Mr. Reisetter on the show?
Exactly.
Because apparently, in contrast to us, he's pretty much the mastermind, no? Maybe we could hire him.
But I was going to ask, where did he get his, or what other podcast does he listen to and admire?
Yes.
Or did he get his ideas from?
I'm really fascinated with AI right now. So I like listening to podcasts about AI and people who are working on those things. So interview style shows like Tim Ferriss or Lex Friedman and people who are building things. I like builders. So it's really cool seeing those people. I do still like This American Life and Radiolab and all the greats because they have such fantastic audio design.
So are you thinking about actually putting AI on the job in terms of actually producing podcasts? Because full disclosure, for the last 2 years, this is exactly what Martin and myself have done. I was joking, people.
But the thing is that I listen to so many podcasts, so it's not so much that I have a favorite that I'm going to these days, but I'm just prolific in. If my friend starts a show, I will listen. If there's something that looked interesting, I probably subscribe to 10 podcasts a month, and I'll listen to 10 new podcasts a month. And so there's just new podcasts are still my favorite thing to just enjoy, because I like hearing how new creators are creating things or what people are thinking these days. And so, I listen to just a huge variety of stuff to understand more about just the fabric of it, because audio is really where my heart and soul is. I can't structure things in my head visually to be like, oh, here's how the story should unfold visually. And I'm not good for the written word, but audio is that's just where I have put all of my focus. So if I listen to a lot of podcasts, it'll really help me understand how people are pushing the limits and the boundaries and what the talk is all about and that sort of thing. So I just love podcasts.
Can I ask a very challenging question in that case? How many of our episodes have you listened to of the first season?
I'm sorry, I haven't listened to any of them.
Okay, fair enough. I think you're better off anyway. That way. If you want to keep your numbers rising, okay, fair enough, Martin.
And that's very embarrassing because I just said how many shows I listen to. So I should have.
That's okay. No worries. No,
I don't think we make it through the algorithms, right?
Exactly. A, we don't make it through the algorithms. B, we can cut this out. C, no worries there, Jack. No sweat.
But I like the way you two go back and forth. So I am fascinated to hear more of this. So I definitely am going to be.
Yeah, I mean, this is actually the latest. Yeah, this is the latest deployment of this TensorFlow thing that Martin put in production about 2 hours ago. but enough
Indeed.
techno stuff or tech stuff anyway. Martin, so any final questions before we wrap this up?
No, it's been fascinating. Yeah, for sure.
Excellent, indeed, very much so. And with that, actually, I think now is the time to discuss the boxes. Jack, over to you.
This is the picks of the week?
Exactly.
Okay, so like I said, I'm in San Francisco this week, and I got to drive a Waymo for the first time. Well, I didn't drive it, but I rode in a Waymo.
You were driven.
Have you tried one of these?
Okay. Martin doesn't get out much, and I even get out less.
Well, I think it's illegal in the UK.
Okay.
Yeah.
I live in Germany, so
which is very handy if you want to put some machine learning algorithms to the test. The Waymo data set is not well known. Anyway.
So you survived
I think
excellent.
I think self-driving cars are illegal in the UK. I don't think they're allowed.
Yeah. Well,
so that's
not
wild.
the cars themselves, but you're not allowed to turn them on. Yeah.
So
crazy.
So you took a Waymo, you survived it, like about 20 billion people before. Okay.
Yes, it's been around for a while, but but not only that, I tried the Tesla full self-driving as well, and this brought me down a rabbit hole.
And this is what you did survive, because apparently you are 1 out of 3.
Yeah, it really did feel like a paradigm shift of not touching the wheel and just letting something else control it. It's such a strange experience the first 5-10 times of doing it, because you're on edge. It's scary. It's weird. Is this even legal? What is happening? And then you get more used to it, and then you realize that this is amazing and it's incredible and it's the way of the future. And why are we behind the wheel when a computer should be doing it? And so I started learning so much about neural networks and how the cars map the world around them and how they learn from other drivers and all the different sensors in there. Like, there's the computers that are in these cars are more powerful than the latest MacBook Pro, like by a factor of 50. Like, it's a supercomputer in many senses. And there's actually two of them in the car to do a lockstep kind of decision making where they'll both look at the world around them and decide, okay, we should hit the gas, right? Nope, I think we should hit the brake. And when they disagree, then there's a problem and the car stops until it can agree on what to do. And it's amazing that there's two of these in the car. And that's just controlling the autopilot functionality. The cars themselves have just gotten there's just so much involved in the car that's just software driven, where the struts and the brakes and the gas are all like they're individual components of, we're going around a curve or we're going over a bump. Let's increase the shock absorbers more because we need to like brace for this. Like, the car knows how to brace for bumps. And it's amazing that all these little other components are able to do that. And so the amount of technology that are in these cars today is just so mind-blowing to me. It's just almost all software driven. And because of that, the physical equipment can be shrunk. It can be smaller because we don't need all these tubes and pipes and gears to do something that a software program can do the same thing. And so it's amazing what these cars can do. And as I got some demonstrations this week, I've just felt like I've stepped into the future.
Wow. I mean, Martin discovered the beauties of not having to drive his car himself about 20 years ago when his wife just said you were too drunk to drive. But there was no artificial intelligence involved.
Yeah.
Give or take a few. Indeed.
No software involved there. Yeah.
So, Martin, what's your POX?
My POX? Oh, well, it's actually quite topical, even though it wasn't on purpose. So this is a series called Nemesis, which is a Dutch series all about financial crime and tax evasion. And it's really very good, well written, and it captures you from the first episode and keeps turning different plots and things. And it's in Dutch. Yeah.
It's one of those documentaries, right?
No, it's not. It's not a documentary, but I mean, I wouldn't be surprised if there is some truth to some of it. Yes.
Okay.
Do you find yourself cheering for the people who are committing financial crimes? Like, you want them, like, does it advocate for financial crimes? Does it make it sexy?
No, this is quite the opposite. So the the storyline is that there is a one guy who is kind of an in-between person, and it's all about shell companies and things like that, right? So, which is
shell company or shell company?
No, shell companies. So for a long time, these were could be not attributed through whatever route to a single person or a single entity and stuff like that. So then some regulation came in that did that. But anyway, so one of these guys that owns one of the biggest shell company chains in the world, he manages the money of a small American country or something, that kind of level. But yeah, all the funding is from illegal means, not naming any countries, but yeah. And so the shell companies are there to, have betting sites where they can whitewash the money and so on. So, in short, these not so nice elements, they end up, killing a bunch of people and so on to try and avoid their empire being destroyed. So, but it's it's a very good story, and as I said, gripping from currently on episode 7. So, want to go, but yeah.
Of season number 25.
No, it's only one season so far.
One season?
Only came out the last year.
Okay. And it's only available in Dutch.
You could you can have it. You can switch your language these days. Yeah, on many modern televisions.
We're talking Netflix. We're talking Disney Plus.
It's actually on Disney. Yeah.
It's on Disney. Okay, fair enough. So in that case, you could probably either get English subtitles or actually it's dubbed.
Yeah, you can just switch the language to English if you wanted to. But,
okay, but you prefer to watch in Dutch because it was filmed in the Netherlands.
Well, all the people are Dutch as well. So. And
There you
actually,
go.
it also
Exactly.
features an investigative podcaster who tries to uncover all these
Okay.
companies and people. So,
And it's set in the 90s,
it's set in the current time. Yeah, so
current times. Okay.
Mm.
Fair enough. Okay.
Definitely worth a watch.
Yes, the links, of course, within the show notes and Disney Plus. If you want to have more boxes featured, the email address is okay. No, my box is two boxes, and yes, full disclosure, I did my certified ethical hacker in 2016, and a year after, I stumbled across a podcast called Darknet Diaries. And also around the same time,
actually,
it was actually later.
This is a good story. Where did you stumble across him?
I had a couple of trackers for interesting podcasts, as in bots, that scavenge the internet and send me interesting links, as you do. And I discovered a podcast that I discovered shortly after was actually called Malicious Live. Needless to say, independent of the CEH and some other IT security things that I did, these two podcasts, and again, kudos to you, Jack, because you were pretty much influential. These two podcasts, I reckon it's fair to say that they actually shaped my IT security education to some extent, especially from a social engineering angle.
Wow, that's great.
And again, thank you.
Very nice of you to say.
No, I mean, seriously, this is, I wouldn't say this is basically what brought me to social engineering, because I came across Chris Hadnacky a long time ago, as in The Art of Human Hacking. That was about more than 10 years ago. And the topic of social engineering, especially the background as in advanced psychology and all the rest of it, never has really left me. And I'm still kind of taking avid interest in that field of research, because at the end of the day, this is basically how we work, how we think, how we operate, and how you
by social engineering.
Yes, exactly. No. So not by social engineering, but rather the mechanisms behind this. Why people fall for cons? Why people are targets of social engineering attacks, and how they work, and how especially they successfully work, and how, and even more important, how you defend yourself against these sort of attacks, which become more and more important beyond phishing, vishing, and you name it.
Yeah, it's really fun to hear how people got hit with their problems, isn't it? So you can learn the hard way, or not to do it.
Exactly. Even I mean, if you listen to the right podcasts, you are less of a chance to fall victim for these scams. I'm almost tempted to say.
Okay, well, I've got some good news for you. Later on this year, I will be releasing a German version and a Spanish version of the same show.
Excellent.
Oh, okay. Will you be doing those?
No.
No. Okay.
No, the German version is going to be created by Heise online.
Heise, the publisher.
Yeah, Heise.
Wow. You know that they're one of the biggest IT security coverage outlets in Germany, right?
Yeah, maybe I'm saying this too soon, because we haven't even published the first episode yet, but it's coming this year. That will have a Heise will be.
Well, I keep my fingers crossed for you. I mean, this is a outlet worth going for, because it's a well-known brand in Germany.
Good. Well, I hope I'm in good hands there then.
Oh, you are. Fabian Schachter probably rings a bell. BH in London long ago, and he actually covered IT security when he went back to Germany. Unfortunately, he left Heise, but that he managed to contribute to developing the brand in the IT security world a long time ago. Because before that, Heise is probably fair to say that Heise, with a couple of German publications, Heise, if you want to have the names mentioned, the email address is sponsor at linuxinlaws.eu. Jokes aside, no, I mean, they have been a well-known brand for the last 20 plus years, 30 plus years in Germany. But for the last 10 years, they have actively branched into IT security. And if they are supporting you, you're in good hands, I suppose.
Yep. We got a partnership together. So you hopefully you see that soon.
Cool. And needless to say, if Martin is still looking for a side hustle, and if you want to do a Dutch version, just reach out.
Okay.
Slightly smaller audience, but yes.
Exactly. Jack, and with that, we would like to thank
Yeah.
you for being on the show. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Yeah.
This
And
was a lot of fun. Thanks for having me.
This is the Linux In-Laws.
You come for the knowledge.
But stay for the madness.
Thank you for listening.
We hope you like this feature presentation. If so, please spread the word. If not, please let us know. Feedback at linuxinlaws.eu.